This is the Troutbitten podcast.
Troutbitten. Troutbitten?
Troutbitten.
Troutbitten.
Troutbitten?
Yeah, Troutbitten.
Troutbitten.
It's about trout.
Wild trout.
This is Troutbitten.
This is the Troutbitten podcast, and thanks for tuning in. My name is Dominic Swintoski. I'm the owner of Troutbitten and the author of Troutbitten.com. Welcome back to the Blue Liners Bible. This is episode 3, and we're here to work through small stream dry fly fishing. Real quick, let me introduce my co-host, Mr. Austin Dando. How you doing, bud? What's up?
Doing great. Getting ready to hit a small stream tomorrow, getting some flies together. Yeah,
Nice.
That's the plan. Starting at the bottom, where it's a tributary, starting at where it goes into the kind of the mouth of the stream and going up from there.
We do that a lot, right?
Yeah, in the previous episode, we talked about starting at the top and going down, and this is one stream that is a cold water tributary the whole way through, and I know it's cold from the bottom up, so that's where I'm going to start. It's a little wider at the bottom, which is fun, and then it gets narrower as you go.
Yeah, I love that. Our state often stocks the bottom of some of these tribs, and then, if you get up into the middle, there's no stockies left, and you get clear to the headwaters, and often you have a nice mix of brown trout and brook trout.
Yeah.
And then, thankfully, they don't stock all of them. So you can find ones that are basically undisturbed. The less you stock something, the less fishermen there usually are.
That's true, and the more fish there are, too, if it's a good habitat.
Let them be. Let them do their thing. Doesn't even have to be designated catch and release. It's just like, well, wild trout are harder to catch, and most people who want to, keep their limit every day they go aren't going to be able to do that anyway.
Yep, that's a good point.
All right, so this has been an enjoyable project to work on, this Blue Liners Bible series. I kind of had this in rough form for an article series for a while, and eventually like to put it into a book. So been sitting on this for about 5 years, honestly. It's nice to see this part come to fruition. Pretty cool. So small stream trout fishing, to me, is like its own thing. Kind of how night fishing really is so different than everything else that I get to do with a fly rod. I feel like small stream fishing comes with a very different mindset. It has a very different feel to it, for me anyway. You feel that way, Austin? You think of it like that?
Yeah, I really do, and I think that's a good point. It is similar to night fishing, and I think of it, maybe it's because it's a solo adventure oftentimes for me. Like when I go small stream fishing, I'm not bringing 2 or 3 people with me. It's always like a personal thing normally. And oftentimes it's kind of how it feels at night too. You're on your own. Even if there is someone with you, they're not usually close enough, or it's dark out so you can't see them. It doesn't feel like a social activity. It's just, it's your own time.
I do like to do it by myself or with my dog. It's kind of hard sometimes. Well, it is. It's hard to fish a small stream with another person because you're running into each other all the time, right? When I've done it, we'll often just leapfrog.
Yeah.
Or just fish with each other, but only one at a time, right? Like I'll watch you fish and pick on how you can't catch any. And then the next hole, I just get 3 or 4 out of there.
Yeah, well, it's you kind of bring up a good topic there. When I do that, there's certain people I'll do that with.
Yeah.
And usually it's, again, it's a laid back thing. We'll maybe bring just one rod and we'll hand the rod back and forth and take turns. It's really enjoyable.
That's cool. I've never done the one rod thing.
Yeah.
Should bring a beer. I don't like to drink beer when I'm fishing, though.
Well, in your age, you've come to like it less. You used to like it more.
It's true. Pat and I used to float down the river and drink a 6-pack. And then we were, toward the end of when we were doing that a lot, we were like, let's just take 2 beers, one for each. Takes the will to fish, right? Takes it away, washes it away.
Yeah, well.
Like, I'm pretty happy. Floating down the river. I'm pretty happy. I caught a couple. Give me another beer. So do you get into cycles of pretty much fishing small stream fishing like exclusively, or let's say it's your primary thing? You're like, what, I'm really into small streams right now. You go through habits, cycles like that?
Definitely, and it's usually seasonal. You brought up night fishing. It's sort of similar. I find myself doing it in the summer, the warm months when maybe other things are too warm, or I just want to do something different. And night fishing is often that. If my week is not set up to be able to night fish, then I'm usually going to fish a small stream. Or if I can night fish that week, I'll fish a small stream the next week. So that's sort of my summer pattern. I don't deviate from that a whole lot.
What do you fish small streams in the spring and fall? I do quite a bit.
Yeah,
if I'm into
I do
that
like
mood.
those transitions. I don't fish them in the winter a lot.
No.
Once it starts to get really cold, I like to focus on other fisheries. Again, it's sort of like no, it's a season for me. Like I enjoy, like,
That's
all right,
neat.
I'm going to start small stream fishing. Just like in the summertime, I start night fishing again. It's something I look forward to, but don't do all year usually,
Mm-hmm.
at least with any sort of regularity.
Yeah, we have a wealth of opportunity here. We get to pick and choose what we really want to do. And even in the winter, I mean, obviously we fish a lot during the winter, but I'm like you. I don't like to fish small streams in the winter. Most of the small streams that I love and the regions that I love to do it in are freestone. So they're, they don't have many springs. And so when that water's down to 35 degrees or something like that, 36, even 37, 38, boy, they're not eating much.
No. And it's a low return game for sure.
Yeah, got to pick your spots, I guess.
Yep.
So we're here to break down small stream dry fly fishing. And we're tackling dry flies first because fishing dries on small water puts you in a great position with the necessary skills to fish the other disciplines of nymphs, streamers, and wets. In a moment, we'll say a little more about that philosophy, and we'll dig into the details of gear for dry flies. But first, that leads me to the questions. Austin, we've had a number of questions coming in about gear for small streams, rods and leaders and things like that. Yeah, we're going to get to each of those specifics with the episodes that match, meaning in this episode tonight, we're going to kind of run through our opinions on rods, leaders, and flies for dry fly fishing small streams. Next week, we'll do the same for nymphs and so on. But a couple people also ask about small stream specific items that we might mention. It's a good question, really, and I don't know that we could dedicate a whole episode to this kind of thing, but it's something I wanted to work into this Blue Liners Bible series. So here we go. Austin, what do you bring along on a small stream trip that you might not bring on an average fishing trip? I think people get the point here. We're often hiking in, pretty remote sometimes, but not always. If we have that opportunity, though, hike in, get away from things.
Yeah.
Get your privacy, and we kind of have to be self-sufficient, too. So what do you have specific to small stream fishing?
Sure. I don't know if I carry a lot of additional gear, but the gear I bring is very much different than just my regular fishing setup. So, for example, I wear a different vest. It's a small, running chest pack that actually Deli turned me on to.
Yeah.
And I carry a smaller selection of flies, and I try to just pare things down in general. But in addition to maybe what I standard would carry, I like to have bug spray with me. Getting into the small streams, especially in the warmer months, if you're getting just eaten by bugs of mosquitoes and things like that, flies, it takes the enjoyment out of it very quickly.
Sure does.
So I really like to have some sort of repellent. I like to have some form of hydration. So for me, I carry a life straw all the time, but I make sure to have it with me in the small streams. I don't really carry a water bottle. I drink the stream water. Take the risk, gives me the stream river mojo.
It's not really a risk, though. That's what the life straw is, right? It's a filtration.
Yeah, it's supposed.
Straw.
It's 99 something. It does pretty good.
99% chance you won't die from drinking the water.
I think I've only gotten sick once, but I'm not sure it was from from the life straw.
God.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've done the water purifier thing. It's a good point. If you're walking in pretty far and it's summertime, you might need more than the liter that I usually carry. And come on, you start carrying more than a liter of water, it's getting kind of heavy.
Yeah.
I've done the life straw thing, different filtration systems. That is important, man. You got to have water. Bug spray's a great point. What about camo clothes, camouflage clothing?
I generally wear the same stuff when I normally fish because I just try to wear bland colors all the time.
Right on.
So I don't necessarily put on the camo.
Yeah, I don't do
I just got
camo
bland stuff.
necessarily. Yeah, but I'm trying to have earthy colors.
Yeah.
We talked last episode about, many times these waters are very clear. And sometimes at their lowest point, they're going to be all year. And we said how spooky brook trout can be, brown trout too. Wild trout in those environments are going to be protective of themselves, right? They're ready to run, but they're also ready to eat. You said that. They can be eager to eat, but easy to spook. So I don't know. I do think about it more. So I don't know about camo. I'm not putting face paint on.
Yeah,
but
right.
I'm not wearing a white hat. I'm not even wearing a light colored hat. I do. I think about it a little bit more.
Yep.
Always polarized lenses for me. That's always. So I don't know. That's not different. But you know what? If I'm hiking in, things might be a little different. If I know that there's a risk that I could kind of get stuck out there, I bring a headlamp. That's not hard to bring.
There you go.
Because there's a light source that's
good
pretty
addition.
small, and you can easily walk out with a headlamp.
Yeah.
You don't just want the cell phone flashlight, you know.
And,
But that's
and
there for you.
addition to that, again, we talked about navigation and maps a little bit last episode.
Yeah.
The cell phone often in these places is useless, at least around me.
Yeah.
I lose service immediately. So it's even more important when I leave the house to bring the map. I mentioned
Yeah.
Purple Lizard maps.
Mhm.
I keep that with me all the time when I'm doing small stream stuff because it shows me not only the back road, mountain roads that I need to navigate around, but also kind of I can estimate the space between the road and the stream and also where
Yeah.
the stream goes down to and if there's a hiking trail nearby. So I bring that along.
Yeah.
That's just really practical for me.
Yeah, again, that has a lot to do with, how far you're going to go in. I said how I was fishing the middle fork, and then there was a west and an east fork or whatever.
Right.
And I hiked 2.5 miles that day before I even started fishing. I don't remember if I brought extra gear, but maybe I should have. Get a lot of people throughout the years of doing trout bitting that say, hey, you should do an article on safety. Fishing can be dangerous. And this would be another case where people are saying, well, hey, if you're out there and you're planning on like not seeing anybody and you don't have cell signal, then you should bring all this other safety gear. And maybe you should. I just have never felt
Right.
like it's my or our job here to tell people what they should bring to be safe. I mean, you can really jump in the deep end with that stuff. You could bring yourself a snake bite kit and a tourniquet.
Satellite phone. And
Exactly.
yeah.
And if you're the type of person that makes you comfortable enough to get out there, absolutely. At that point, you're going to have to bring a backpack. I'm serious. Like at least a small backpack or something to kind of bring your first aid kit. Honest to God, I've never brought a first aid kit, and I've walked in pretty far.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'll bring that headlamp. I bring zip ties. What's that going to do for safety? I don't know. Zip ties, tape, stuff like that. I mean, like little roll of tape. But that's often for gear fixes.
Yeah.
I don't want to bring a whole backpack. We talk about how we want to cover water. So I'm trying to keep things as light as possible. So back to the first thing that you said when we brought up this question, that's me too. I'm trying to bring way less than I usually do. Just in general, a lot less.
Do you still bring a staff?
Most times, no.
Yeah.
If I don't know exactly what I'm getting into, or if the water's high, then yes.
Gotcha.
But no, I'm usually wet wading, so I don't really care if I get wet. And, I'm wet wading with my normal boots. I'd like to point that out. When I say wet wading, I'm not wearing shorts.
Yep, that's a good point.
I'm going into the woods. Now, we could have a whole podcast on wet wading, but I'm going into the woods, so I'm wearing pants. Yes, they're light and they dry quickly. Cool. But boy, it protects me from poison ivy, poison oak, briars, and ticks even, and things like that.
Yep.
And then my normal wading boots, but I put those neoprene wading socks in there, and it just feels like my footing is normal. I'm confident with that footing, and then, I'm not hot because I'm in waders. But again, that's summertime. And things could be very different in the fall or in the spring. Yeah, but I usually don't bring my wading staff. What about you?
Usually not. I brought it a few times, like if it's somewhere that maybe isn't like extreme brushy and I want to have something to clear it or potentially fend off snakes or something
That's
like
funny
that.
you say that.
I'll bring it along. But if it's going to be a clear path to the stream for the most part, and I know I'm not going to be going through any sort of crazy water or terrain, I'll leave it at the car.
Same here. Just keeps me lighter. You know. It's funny you say about the snakes and the wading staff. I remember reading an article, so many years ago, and that's exactly what they said. Make sure you bring a wading staff so you can fend off snakes. I'm thinking, dude, if I'm going into an area where I'm not sure I'm going to see snakes, I'm not going into that area.
Yeah.
That's me.
Well, I think, I don't know, it adds an additional piece of volume to warn them of your presence. Like sometimes you just let it drag behind me.
Good point.
But who knows? That could be psychological. I'm safe now. They can hear my stick.
So you're kind of afraid of snakes too.
Well, I mean, I have a healthy fear.
You have a normal fear. I have the abnormal, unreasonable.
Self-preservation. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's a garter snake. Get it away from me. That's my fear.
A little different.
It's 20 feet away. I'm going around.
It's going to get me.
Yeah. All right. So I think we covered extra gear or the lack of gear there. Again, you got to make your own choices on the safety stuff. Not for us to decide. And
everyone will have their own tolerance.
There's plenty of times where I'm not going to walk 2 miles in. Most times I'm not walking 2 miles in.
Yeah.
I'm just, walking in Depends, right? But I'm trying to get away from roads and where I think other people may have fished. And once I'm to that point, I'm gonna start fishing. Yeah, I will say if I don't have some pretty good action pretty soon, I'm gonna walk a little further upstream. You like that?
Yeah. Like we said before, just the next bend can change the day. So
yeah.
always there's no harm by doing that.
I remember that's what Grobe said. I mean, we know he fishes some small streams, and he's like, if they're not in this undercut, they'll be in the next one.
Yeah, that's good hope.
Since 2006, Yeti has been building products for anglers who fish hard and share an addiction for the woods and the water. Yeti changed the industry with their legendary coolers by featuring rugged but simple designs built to last for generations and stand up to whatever Mother Nature might bring. Yeti now takes that same functional and elegant design to everything in their lineup, from soft coolers to drinkware, bags, and more. Introducing the Easy Access Ranchero Backpack. It's the latest to join Yeti's lineup of tough-as-nails bags, and it's another part of my fishing gear that keeps me organized and ready on the water. The Ranchero Backpack features a cutting-edge rip-zip opening, so you can quickly tear the bag open to see the gear you need in just seconds. With smart internal organization, there's no more digging through your backpack for tippet spools or fly boxes. And for even more convenience, a handy vertical zipper allows you to grab gear at the bottom without having to unpack from the top. Get in, get out, and get going. Check out the Ranchero line of backpacks at Yeti.com or find them at a Yeti retailer store near you. Tactical Fly Fisher was founded by Fly Fishing Team USA angler Devin Olson to bring anglers cutting-edge gear and techniques inspired by the World Fly Fishing Championships. Tactical Fly Fisher's goal is to supply you with the latest and best fly fishing gear and to help you learn how to use it through their videos and books. Whether you need flies, fly tying supplies, a new rod or reel, or any other fly fishing equipment, they've got you covered. Check them out at tacticalflyfisher.com and use the code TB15 to get 15% off one order, excluding rods, reels, waders, and boots. Visit tacticalflyfisher.com. All right, then, here we go. Dry fly fishing on small streams. So I've said it a few times now, and I really don't know if you agree with this, Austin, but do you think fishing dry flies is the best way to fish small water? I mean, I do. Well, do you think it's the most fun, and do you think it's important to learn dry flies first? Thoughts?
Yes, I think I've said this in a previous episode, but if you're learning to fly fish, I always think it's good to be able to learn how to cast a fly line in a dry fly first, or at least a surface fly.
No matter what kind of river you're fishing, you mean?
Yeah, because I think the fundamentals of learning on how to present your line and how slack does or does not present itself, or how to create slack or do certain mends, things like that, you have a visual representation of your effect in the cast and the presentation all the time when you're fishing dries, pretty much. Yeah. So it's good to start on top and then go down. And I also think in a small stream, that's what I have the most fun doing.
I definitely have the most fun with it. I've said that. I do think it's really, really important. For me, like you say, it does come down to casting. Understanding the limited space that's around you, usually in these small streams, and then really, you got to learn to deal with that small space and kind of know what's around you and really know where and how you can cast. Where can you put that rod tip? And where and how are your loops going to go? All that casting for me really starts with dry fly fishing. I honestly think, at first it might seem very hard, but then I think it's a lot easier than like a full nymphing rig. Oh yeah. And we'll talk about that next week, but I use a mono rig. If I'm fishing underneath with nymphs or streamers, and it's a small stream, I usually do go to the mono rig. Sure. I feel like that's harder to control. And quite honestly, the way that we see most people handle a tight line rig, which is kind of with big open loops and kind of lobbing, not casting, that will not work in any kind of cover. So my advice is to teach yourself how to fish a small stream and to learn to deal with that limited space with a dry fly rig. And with the right leader, fly line, definitely the right casting form, then I think you can surprise yourself. Absolutely. And you go, you know what I mean? Like you could say, oh, look, hey, wow, I punched it right under there.
Yeah. And again, it just takes time to get to that point. At first, it's going to be difficult to control the loop. Being able to get the back cast off behind you tight and be able to deliver it tight, and then the forward cast, be able to put it on the target that you want it. But it's very satisfying when you start to notice the progress and start to notice that your ability is increasing, and you're going to want to do it more.
Yeah, there's a comfort level and then a satisfaction. And you say, look hey, that's great. Like, I can do that. You have that confidence. It gets to the point where it almost doesn't matter how tight that space is. You go, I can get something done. Mm-hmm. We'll talk a little bit about the casting and the presentations here in a minute, but we got to do gear. Let's talk about the rods. You know what? I don't want to get real deep into this. It's very much personal preference. And let's start with what you like best, Austin.
Yeah, I fish a 7.5 foot 3-weight rod, medium to fast action. Especially nice and tight quarters to have a little bit more power on your side, but still something that's going to load the line nicely and give plenty of energy for those tight loops on the forward and back casts.
Understood. Yeah, and I usually use the same rod, the same small stream rod for everything that I plan to do. Dry flies, nymphs, and streamers, because I'm not always sure that all I'm going to do is fish dry flies. Mm-hmm. I will say that when I know that, you know what, I'm just going to go out and fish streamers on this small stream, I use a different rod. I use a heavier rod. Usually it's a 5-weight, 9-foot 5-weight when I'm going to do that. Mm-hmm. We're on the dry fly episode. Yeah. I'd say 8-foot, 7.5 or 8-foot 4-weight is my favorite. And I'm fortunate enough to have some really nice rods. I'm not even going to get into the make and the model. I don't think it matters that much. Like you said, for me, it's a medium fast to fast rod. Mm-hmm. Now, you're going to find a lot of people that are going to suggest, hey, use a 2-weight or even a 1-weight or a really soft, even bamboo rod or a fiberglass, flexible, soft rod and they'll tell you, so that the rod will load with a short line out there. That's a fair way to do it, but I don't like it because it takes power away. When the rod loads more and it's a softer rod, you have less power. For me, I want a 4 or even a 5-weight. You said you got your 3. I'd be okay if that 3 was stiff, if it was a faster 3. I just don't want to take that power away from me. That's my casting style. People can watch the videos that we've done, a ton of videos. Mm-hmm. People can see what my casting style is. It's pretty punchy. And I swear that casting style developed on small streams with a short leader and doing exactly what we're talking about with dry flies. That's how I learned to fly fish. Almost exclusively, I was fishing very tight waters. And that's why that stroke became that way. And I was fishing 4-weight, 5-weight rod, and I guess that's why I still do. But I got the power then to push weighted flies around and do whatever I want.
Sure. I think the tighter the quarters get, like the more important a faster rod is, because you don't have all the time in the world to let a rod load behind you, let the line straighten out before you go into your forward cast, get it to load again. Like, you need to be out and back. Yeah. And the slower rod is, the harder it is to achieve that when you don't have a lot of space around you. You don't have these big, wide casting areas to your convenience usually.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a good way to put it. Last thing about rods, I think your casting form has to match that rod speed, So, yeah, I won't even get into that anymore, right? Good casting form. It better be crisp and punchy. You don't need strength, but you need speed in between 2 points with crisp stops. Have you ever heard me say that, Austin?
I think it sounds familiar.
It's always the same thing. But if you just, speed and crisp stops, you're going to load that 4 or 5-weight, even with a very short line out there. Sure. Well, let's talk about fly lines then. You said you're on a 3-weight fly line. Yep. Anything specific about that?
It's a double taper, for what it's worth.
Why?
Probably doesn't matter a whole lot, really, because I'm not casting that far. But I like the versatility of it. Flip it around, have another new line.
That's my reason.
It's not a distance game, so I just enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd rather have a double taper, but they're kind of hard to find these days. Honestly, though, the main reason I was using double tapers in the beginning is, like you said, you get double duty out of it, meaning you twice the life. The one end wears out, flip it around and use the other end.
I love a double taper. Yeah.
The companies don't like that.
Well, they market them so, I don't know.
So little.
I recently, they market them little, probably because they sell less of them, I guess, but they also don't advertise them much. But they always talk about them as being the least versatile and very delicate. And when you consider the tapers, we were talking about this the other day, unless you're really going past the shooting head or the weight forward section of a line, it's like, why is it less versatile?
It's not. We're Yeah, generalizing. But if you actually look at the tapers, and they'll list them, just go compare the tapers. Same brand, same model. One's a double taper, one's a weight forward. Almost always, it's the exact same taper.
Yeah.
Like you said, until you get to that running line.
Exactly. So that's what I like.
Yeah, me too. So I'll tell you one thing about a fly line. I don't want it to be like willow colored or olive colored. I want to be able to see it. And I get it that we were just talking about stealth and all that, but I
Right.
want to see my fly line. I'm not saying I want it to be bright orange or neon green or something, right?
Yep.
But I want to be able to see my line. I will use my leader to give me that stealth. I'm not going to line the fish with my fly line.
Yes.
I know they can see it in the air, but I think I'm pretty good at doing what I want to do with the fly, the leader, and then putting the line over beside them. Now that's a choice that I make because I cast better when I can see that line kind of when I can see it, in the air.
Yep.
I can also then see it for mending. There have just been too many situations with low light conditions, whether small stream or larger stream, where I want to be able to see my fly line.
Yep.
I
think that
operate it better.
I think those like those earthy tones they come back to marketing again, in my opinion. If you're going to put fly line over a fish, I mean, they're going to see a mass land on top of them.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's yellow or if it's clear. So to me, I'd rather see it as well. The problem that you'll find with double tapered lines, because they market them as stealthy, they're going to put the colors on them to be stealthy. So I have one that's brighter yellow on one side, and then it tapers to a lighter green that I can see pretty well. And then I have some that are kind of like willow that you said, where it's not as easy. But lighting conditions plays a big factor.
Sure does. Anyway, we said 3, 4, 5 weight. I'm not going to fish a 6 weight. I have, but I can't think of a reason to fish a 6 weight.
Yeah.
So that's fly lines. Let's do leaders. I've said so many times, I think the leader is the most important element in your game, more important than the rod, way more important than the reel or the fly line, and more important than the fly. So let me just throw the small stream leader for me. This is the Troutbitten favorite small stream leader. You're using it now.
Yep.
Close to what I think a lot of us use.
Yeah.
It's just 7 feet long. The trouble if you just go to the fly shop off of the shelf, a 3X leader, and then tell yourself you're going to put 4X after it, boy, it is built way differently than this. You could get a short one. You get a 7.5. They'll usually offer those. That's kind of fine. But most of that leader is just way too thick. So this is, as you mentioned, Austin, an adaptation of the Harvey Dry leader. And then Charlie Meck had some great ideas in that book I mentioned last week.
Yeah.
And I messed around with a few things. It could be something close to this, and you're going to get very good performance. It is only 7 feet long. Here we go. 24 inches of 15-pound Maxima chameleon. Okay. And chameleon is chosen in so many of our leader formulas because of its very unique qualities. You can substitute stuff, but you're going to change it. Chameleon is stiff in the right ways and powerful, and yet when you stretch it, it lays flat. Okay. And so that's 2 feet of 15-pound, 14 inches of 12-pound chameleon, 10 inches of 10-pound chameleon, 6 inches of 8-pound chameleon. Now that's your butt section, and as you can see, it's tapered. And then just 6 inches of 3X nylon tippet material, and choose your favorite tippet material. I don't like fluoro for this application, but nylon. That's just 6 inches of 3X, and then 24 inches of 4X nylon tippet.
Yeah.
And then that last section, that needs to match the air resistance and sometimes the weight of your dry fly. Again,
good call.
If you're using a foam dry fly and it's got some water in it and stuff, eventually that weight, if you put it on a gram scale, sometimes it's like 20 centigrams.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Even
air
the length of
resistance,
it too, right?
Good call. Right. So that even the last two sections, the nylon tippet material sections should be variable. I might go up to 36 inches at the end. I might extend that 6 inches of 3X to 12 inches and then have only 18 inches of 4X. Don't really have space or time or desire to try to talk about how you would adjust that tippet section to your dry fly, but be ready to do it. And even to the wind conditions and how tight the quarters are. I will leave the link to that article that has the leader formula in it. We also sell in the Troutbitten shop the same leader already built for you.
And I think this leader specifically, starting with the 15-pound butt, it matches the suppleness of 3 and a 4 and a 5 weight line pretty darn well. So there's some versatility there. I was talking to you last week while I was fishing. I find it to be like really punchy in the right way, but then land delicately and be able to deliver slack with some control. So I really love it for being 7.5 feet long.
Yeah, I know. And like you say, you can easily make it 7.5. You could make it 8. Hell, you could make it 9 feet. But
Yeah.
most, well, no, not
Right.
most. All of the adjustments for me are in that tippet section, and just to match the situation and the fly. You make a really good point. You have to be able to punch it through, but then it's still got to, if you're fishing dries, man, it's still got to land with some slack.
Yeah.
And through the years, especially early on, I realized this is difficult. Like I need a short leader. We said last week, you're not going to put a 12-foot leader through the trees and whatever, tree limbs. I guess you could, but it's not the best. And then you keep chopping it down 10 feet. Okay, I'll design an 8-foot leader. Okay, I'll get this leader formula this guy has that's 6 feet. Anyway, I kind of found my happy medium. And this one really will. If you cast it well, if you cast it right, it'll work for you for dries. We should move into flies, Austin. Since 2010, Smith Creek has designed innovative guide tough gear for serious anglers. Introducing the new Fly View chest pack system, Smith Creek's most advanced accessory yet. Built from marine-grade aluminum and lightweight PE foam, the Fly View is rugged, modular, and made to keep up with you on the water. Fly View's lid features a built-in 3x Fresnel magnifier, giving you a clearer view when you're tying on fine tippet, especially if your eyesight isn't quite what it used to be. With 5 swappable tray styles and an external lid patch with a magnetic fly holder, the Fly View chest pack can comfortably hold well over 100 flies, all in easy reach. Spend less time tying and more time casting with Fly View. Visit them online at smithcreek.co for more information. So I want to tell you about Tajima Direct. They make the best polarized lenses on the market. Tajima gives me perfectly clear vision and more detail with less eye strain, so I see more fish. The process is simple. Take a pair of your sunglasses and send them in to Tajima. In short order, you'll get your frames back with your choice of lens tints that are specifically designed for fly fishing. With both prescription and non-prescription, Tajima's patented lens technology results in the best lenses I've ever worn, including every top brand out there. So I wear polarized lenses all day, every day, on the water. And I've been rotating in Tajima's brown 15 green mirror for average light days and their yellow-green 40 silver mirror for the cloudy low-light days that I love to fish. I can tell you that for me, having Tajima's prescription lenses in the right lens tints has been a game changer. I put my glasses on and I don't think about them again until the end of the trip. Send in your own frames today. Visit tajima-direct.com. That's tajima-direct.com. Upgrade your lenses and see what you've been missing. Then what everybody wants to talk about, the first thing everybody else wants to talk about is what fly were you using? What do you think?
Sure. We're talking about dry flies. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I like a mix of different styles of dry flies. I fish a lot of parachutes on small streams, catskill styles. Every once in a while, like maybe a little foam something or other. But I also, maybe my favorite actually is an elk hair caddis.
Sure.
So those are kind of multiple bases, but I like it all.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like parachutes. I can see them. They float well. I'll often over-hackle the parachute by, 2 extra wraps.
Yeah.
Clink hammers if they seem to be a little picky. We often want to put our fly into some water that's moving pretty good on a small stream. You know, you're putting it up into the whitewater pockets, even in the summertime. And so I want a lot of flotation built into my dry fly. Also, because I don't have a whole lot of casting room, I don't want to do that thing where I'm false casting 5 or 6 times to dry it off.
Yeah.
I want a fly that can shed water quickly. I often pre-treat them with Rain-X or something like that. But then on the stream, I'm going to put floatant on them as well. But most of my dry flies float pretty darn well without having to mess with them or baby them, right? For example, just by contrast, one of my favorite kind of hatch matching for picky trout dry flies is a CDC Comparadon. Mm-hmm. And that, you have to baby that fly.
Yeah,
you catch one fish.
It's maintenance.
You got to, yes. I'm not using that fly in a small stream setting. It can take 2 or 3 drifts through the kind of water we're talking about, and then I got to baby it. And then, and if I catch a fish, it slows me down too much.
Right.
My favorite all time is a Royal Wolf.
I remember you always saying that.
It still is.
Yeah, that's cool. Should fish them more.
I do fish a parachute Adams probably more even now than the Royal Wolf. But you got to think about how those two flies lay on the water or don't. Like the Royal Wolf, if it's tied well, it's kind of nimble on the water. It can kind of rock back and forth on that, let's say, vertical hackle or perpendicular to the water hackle. Whereas, of course, the parachute, the hackle is laying on the water. Very different looks. And now I don't often get to the point with small stream fish where I'm going, oh man, that made a difference. Good thing I went to the parachute. But maybe I think size
is the biggest thing there.
Good call.
Maybe color, depending on what stream you're in, but I often find size matters the most. But you had a good point there too, and you're fishing a lot of this harder water. Maybe it's super tumbly and things like that, really broken. It can be easy for a dry fly to get sucked into the chop and get drowned really fast. Yeah. So if you have a fly that's going to be very buoyant, all the better.
Yeah. Just keep you casting, because we're moving and casting and moving and casting. That's pretty much the way we do it. I like an elk hair caddis too. I'd say take some of your favorite patterns. Make sure they have the qualities that Austin and I just said. Obviously, if you have a hatch and they're rising to something, match it. But I don't think you're going to have to get that CDC Comparadon out. Yeah.
Visibility too. You mentioned visibility. I'd highlight it again. Like elk hair caddises, you can use bleached elk hair. Or if you're tying parachutes, use a very visible color on the post that you can see the best. If you can give yourself that advantage, because again, you're often fishing in sometimes shady areas, casting up far away, keeping your distance from fish. The better you can see it,
that's good.
You'll be better off. Yeah,
I'm glad you thought of that. I'm glad you brought that up with the visibility. It's not even necessarily shady. It's often like high contrast areas. You'll be shade for part of the drift, and then that fly comes out into some bright sunlight and it's back into the shade. You know what I'm saying? It's like our eyes have a hard time adjusting to that constant contrast, this, then that, this, then that. But yeah, some widow's web might be a good idea, Austin, huh?
Big widow's web guy now.
We need a contract with widow's web. I'm becoming a believer.
Yeah, I see
Grove
you
sent me
converting.
all that widow's web and it's on all my dries
That's
now.
great. It's good to have something you like new.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's like, that one's got widow's web. I'm using it. One more thing to wrap up fly selection. You brought up size. I'm with you. You don't want to push it too much. But then again, I also want to get their attention, right? So I rarely am fishing 18s or even 16s.
Yeah.
I'll go down that low if I feel like I'm having trouble with commitment, or again, if I'm matching a hatch. But way more often than not, I'm using 14s and 12s just to be general.
I love a day when you're eating 12s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do too. You could see them better. They float better.
Exactly.
The problem with going down to like a 10 is these 5-6 inch wild trout that you're sometimes catching can't get the whole thing in their mouth.
Yeah, you miss
pushing
a
it
bunch.
away as they're trying to eat it.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the reasons I would downsize.
Right on.
Even if they're trying to eat that fly, I would still change it.
Good
If
point.
they're not able to eat it. Yeah.
They just shouldn't be that selective that often. What they are going to be selective about is presentation. So let's talk about that, buddy.
Nice. Again, we talked about in the last episode that everything you do on a normal basis is still applicable to everything you do on a small stream. So good presentations, dead drifts, still matter a lot. Oftentimes I'm getting my eats on the dry on the first cast, the first time they see it. And I'm getting those eats as long as it's a good drift. I often don't spend a whole lot of time casting back into the same spot.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for brook trout, who are usually going to make up their mind within the first one or two times of seeing it. Put a good drift in first, make sure it's a good dead drift, give it enough time that it can sustain itself, enough slack that the drift can sustain itself through for what you're trying to fish, and then maybe get another one or two looks and move on.
Yeah, I love all that. That first cast matters a lot. I'll often position myself so that I can get that first really good cast. I don't want to drag them out of position. Like a fish comes and wants to eat the fly, and there the fly goes dragging away from him.
Yeah.
Now you've dragged the fish or moved the fish out of its position. He's not coming back.
That's a good point. That's
most
a real good
times.
point.
Yeah, most times they're not going to come back. So it can seem very difficult to get that dead drift when your leader's so short. Once again, though, you're going to learn to do it. You have to adjust your cast a little bit, but that position means a lot to me. Yeah. I also just accept that I'm going to get shorter drifts. I don't have that 12-foot leader on. I'm not going to get as long of a drift. Nobody ever is. I did a fish and film video called Home Waters, and I had comments, man, you cast a lot. I'm like, it's almost constant motion.
Yeah.
Because whatever, that was a pretty high gradient stream that I was fishing, and the fish were in the pockets and
Yep.
in the riffly water and stuff. And with those kinds of currents, I don't care if your leader was really long, you're not going to get really long drifts. I was getting 3, 4, 5. If I got an 8-foot drift,
Yeah, it's pretty darn good.
exactly. So
Yeah.
it's almost, you're putting it in, it's drifting, maybe a little bend, and you're out and back in.
Yep.
So we're not standing there false casting a whole lot either.
And when that is the kind of the cards you're dealt, it's important to work into those places. Don't try to cast up into the head of it and drift all the way through and expect a clean drift the whole time. Inch your way up the best that you can without putting too many casts over weary fish.
Yeah.
I think it pays off more than trying to get one long drift through a small spot.
I love that. That's all about water coverage, and how I cover it. I'm not even thinking about it anymore, but it becomes like I'm in rhythm and I'm just casting and moving. I'm almost always moving, whether it's my feet or I'm just leaning in a little bit. It usually is my feet, I guess. I'm taking the next step and I'm just working it. And it's one of the things that I just love so much about small streams, because I'm like, well, you didn't need it. I'm moving on. And moving on might be a foot over and 3 feet up. Great.
Yep.
And it's my next spot.
Absolutely.
Like you say, inching into it. That's a real pleasure. I mean, I love that aspect of the game. So what about the bow and arrow cast, Austin? You hear a lot of that. As soon as you go small stream fishing, people say, oh yeah, I use that bow and arrow cast.
Sure. It's useful in certain situations, no doubt. I think I used to use it a lot more, rely on it more. I'd say the times that I use it the most are maybe like my casting angle is really poor. If my back's right up against, or if I'm trying to cast a 45, maybe I can't cast more in line with the stream. It can be really handy, but I do my best to try to make standard tight looped casts. But it is certainly handy. It does have limitations to how far you can, well, unless you're Joe Humphreys, how far you can shoot that bow and arrow.
Sure.
But it's still fun.
I'm with you. It's a once in a while thing for me in the tightest quarters when I just kind of have to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go out there and put 50 bow and arrow casts at them. It's limiting. It's inefficient because you have to set it up. You have to get it back in your hand. Let's say you could only fire off 1 bow and arrow cast for 10 of regular casts, right? You know what I'm saying?
There's
you
some
put it
time.
out there, nice. I got it right where I wanted it. It's drifting and drifting. There's your maybe even 8-foot drift, like we said. That's nice.
Yeah.
And then it drags and you're done.
Yep. No, when I am bow and arrow casting, I'm usually casting a fixed amount of line for short, really quick drifts in heavy cover. Not often trying to shoot line within my bow and arrow, like up a tunnel or something.
Right. I've run into a couple people who, we were in tight quarters on some of our, I don't know, smaller but standard limestone streams around here. And they wanted to use a bow and arrow. I'm like, oh man, and you can, and that's cool, but let me show you, like you can easily like just fire it down there and scoot it in under the limbs. You'll be fine. You got plenty of room. I think people, what I see, and I know I used to do this, I would underestimate what I could do.
Sure.
Like I'd say challenge yourself. Like learn to punch a dry fly around the limbs and manipulate that line and leader. You can do it, again, with the right casting stroke. Learn to create tight, fast loops, and it can be done. Arguably then maybe better than a bow and arrow cast, but again, cool with the bow and arrow, but moving on from that, I'm saying what you said earlier, you can pretty quickly develop those skills if you do challenge yourself. And that form is critical. We're not going to go through all these, we're not going to try to explain these casts here, but I got 4 things for you out there. We have a video called the corner cast. I don't know that anybody, it doesn't matter if people call them the same thing. It doesn't. You're going to come up with your own names. I don't know that I ever saw anybody explain this, but basically you can cast and then do what I call round in the corner. Your back cast, can be, downstream. Say you have no casting room, on the banks. It's just tree lined, mountain laurel, whatever. But you have a tunnel coming up the middle, right? But you want to cast, I don't know, over toward that far bank. And even though it's not that far away, maybe it's 12 feet away, you can have your back cast over the water and then you can round the corner and shoot to the bank. That's all I'm going to try to say here. You can do way much more than just, 180 and 180. Usually the general rule of fly casting is wherever you want your forward cast to go, your back cast needs to be 180 degrees behind you, right? But it's not like that. It doesn't have to be like that. Learn the corner cast. Go look up the video, and I'll leave a link to this.
Yeah, that's good.
I also have what I call a short changer cast, and whatever. It's just not a full back cast. You go, ooh, it's really tight back there. I'm not going to let that line stretch out. So before it does, whoop, you come forward. I have what I call a lag and curve cast. I use that lag and curve all the time when I'm fishing dry flies. Doesn't matter if it's a big or small river. Lag and curve is going to give you that slack we're talking about, that necessary slack. And then you want to know a power curve. Again, a lot of videos and resources on Troutbitten about all this. And the last one I'll mention is what I call a crash cast, which takes that lag and curve and then forces that leader on the water kind of on your own terms.
That's a cool cast.
It is.
Yeah.
I think it's exceptionally useful in small streams because you're forcing that leader down on the water the way you want it to with your timing, and you can stack a bunch of slack. Half the leader, you can make it slack right up to the dry fly, and then you can get some really nice drifts. You know what? I grease the leader. Do you do that?
Absolutely.
For pickup?
Yep.
That's the main reason.
Yep. I like it for pickup. And also, like I mentioned before, some of this water is really choppy and rocky. And if you can just have a little more floatability to keep the line up there, I like it.
Yeah. And I don't really care about, trout being leader shy.
Yeah.
I don't think they are, especially in these conditions in the small stream. If they were, if it was getting in my head, then I would grease the whole leader except maybe the last foot of tippet. So Troutbitten listeners already know the crew's favorite beer is Broken Heel's Hazy IPA from New Trail Brewing Company. But our friends at New Trail are hard at work developing our next favorites. Each one is like a different fly pattern because some fit your current situation better than others. Like this one they call 24/7 because it's the beer we could drink 365, crafted to go anywhere, anytime. 24/7's light body and low alcohol make it a must-have when you've got day-long plans but still want full IPA flavor. Then there's Trail Marker West Coast IPA, inspired by classic pine and orange flavor. Trail Marker is brilliantly clear, nicely bitter, and available in two varieties, West Coast IPA and Imperial IPA. You can bet the Troutbitten crew will mix these styles into the cooler with Broken Heels. So check out newtrailbrewingcompany.com to find retailers near you or on the way to the river. So one more thing to think about, Austin, is where you want to put those flies. We talked earlier, I think in episode 1, we were saying how you need to choose your spots. You have to, you're not trying to fish the whole river. And it's very seasonal, very conditional, but I don't know. What do you got some thoughts on where to start? Where do you want to put your dry fly?
I mean, I like any good holding water with decent depth. Like I really like plunge pools. I love kind of like, at least in a medium grade stream, it kind of steps up as you go. Oftentimes on the next level, there's a soft pocket, maybe next to some faster moving water. I love those softer pockets. I generally avoid like the fastest stuff. I just don't do the best in those with dry flies. I like transition seams. I like getting it right tight against the bank under cover.
Oh yeah.
But for me, like I don't love fishing a 6-inch riffle as much.
I say it that way because I've had pretty good luck, depending on the season and the conditions. I've had good luck in some riffles, although lots of times, I'd say most times, they're in the hole that's near the riffle.
Yeah,
right?
And that's maybe what I'm getting at.
That bucket, that bigger, and also you might catch the 4, 5, 6-inch trout out of the riffle, but the better fish usually are right where they should be, right where you think they're going to be. And that's been my experience for years, which is another reason why I moved through.
Which that I think is a little bit different from my experience in maybe regular sized streams.
Yeah.
Like I've caught some of my nicest fish on dry flies in really shallow, strange water, not out of the deep pool. But in small streams, I seem to do the opposite.
Yeah. I'll say when the water's high, I pretty much ignore the middle, like that main flow. Nah, that's too much for trout to come up through, especially if it's high and it has any kind of dirt in it, too much.
Good call out.
But I've had great luck. We said last week how often we'll fish tributaries because everything else is blown out. Well, then that trib is high too. But I've had some really good days just fishing those edges, not even getting in. We should point that out too. No matter the conditions. I'm often on the bank. I know you are too.
Yeah,
I have no problem wading, and I'm working upstream. I should mention that too. I'm almost always working upstream with these dry flies.
Right.
And then I'll get in and just don't push waves. Don't make a bunch of noise. Okay. But I'm often on the bank.
Yeah. I mean, If I have the ability to stay onto the bank, I will, because just, again, that stealth factor, not having to put your whole body kind of in the middle of the stream, stay off to the side, can sometimes make casting easier, because then you have the full stream behind you often. You're getting the 100% of the casting lane. But a lot, again, I go back to some of the streams I fish around me. It's so heavily forested that like the only way to get upstream often is to walk the stream. You can't go around that easy and get back in reliably. So I'm often stuck in there.
Yeah. And then if it's low and clear, then you better stay back further.
Exactly. Kind of always fighting that balance.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So I'll fish anything. I mean, I'll fish any water, but I'm only going to test stuff for a little bit. I try to just trust the fish. If I'm getting refusals, or if I'm getting any kind of action, if I'm moving fish on those dry flies, I'm like, oh, fish are sitting in that water. I could catch them if I improve the drift, or if I get better positioning and whatever, maybe the fly.
Right.
Usually it's the drift. This topic of really where the fish are going to be is so seasonal, conditional. But I'll wrap that up by saying again, they are usually where they should be. If you put 10 fishermen on the water and they all pointed at one spot, like, oh, that's the best spot, it probably is in a small stream. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do a lot of cherry picking, mostly cherry picking. I'm not out there for full coverage fishing every little thing.
Right.
I'm often moving upstream and looking ahead and saying, yep, that's my next bucket.
Yeah.
That's my next bucket. There's a plunge pool. There's a nice riffle with a little more depth to it. That's where I'm going to go. Going to skip this, skip that. And it's just fun, because then you get to work upstream and see a whole lot of different surroundings and learn the land. I
like it. Good stuff, buddy. Anything else?
I just go back to the encouragement of fishing a fly line and short leader. We talk about fishing a mono rig a lot, and maybe that's what you're used to doing most of the time. But if you do feel like you struggle with a fly line, I encourage you just keep working on it and go out there and be willing to get caught up in trees and expect to be caught up in trees.
Yeah,
don't think that if you get caught, you're like, this is so hard. Yes, it is hard, but it takes a little while. And then eventually you build a new skill, and you're going to be able to enjoy fishing in a new way again.
I like that you said that. You are going to get hung up.
Yeah.
Okay.
We always get hung up, regardless of how good you are. It still happens, but it happens a lot more at the beginning.
And you start pushing it. You say, I can get a foot away from that bank. Now I'm going to try to get 2 inches off that bank.
Yeah.
All right. There it is. Dry flies. Go fish them. What we're really saying here is to consider dry flies as your first option on small streams for all the reasons mentioned here, but also because it's a great opportunity to prospect with dry flies. Usually you have a legitimate shot of doing quite well with dry flies. So take that opportunity, not only because it's fun, but because learning to cast dries in tight quarters sets you up to fish every other style. It forces you into good casting form, learning to manage and manipulate fly line and leader to place everything where you want it to get a great presentation. So I'll point out one more thing here. This episode was not about fishing a dry dropper style, meaning there's a different set of gear, of strategy, of mindset for fishing a dry dropper rig on small waters. For sure, one of the most common mistakes in fly fishing is believing that you can simply dangle a nymph off the dry fly and nothing changes. The truth is, a lot changes. Dry dropper is also a great way to fish a small stream, and we'll talk about it as a nymphing style in the next episode, where we'll highlight those necessary changes that really let dry dropper shine on small waters. So thanks again to everyone out there for all of your support. Remember that one of the easiest and most helpful things you can do for Troutbitten is to simply like, leave a comment, and subscribe across all platforms, on the website, on the podcast, Instagram, and YouTube. That small show of support really adds up. Thanks, everyone. So, Austin, I'm going to try the readout. You all right with that?
Ooh,
You're not going to get sensitive about it?
Yeah,
I got the readout.
Have you done it? Do you know how to read?
Yeah. So remember, the Troutbitten Project is a free resource for all anglers. The Troutbitten website hosts over 1,500 articles, videos, and podcasts with endless stories, commentaries, tactics, tips, and more. Find what you like through the top menu and through the search page. Navigate by way of the categories and the tags too. Be sure to find the Troutbitten YouTube channel now featuring the Troutbitten Tips series, Fly Fishing the Mono Rig, and the Troutbitten Fly Box, all in collaboration with Wilds Media. You'll also find the fish and film videos and the new Riverside series, all in their own playlists on Troutbitten YouTube. Please give the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave a nice comment, because that really helps. Until next time, friends, fish hard, enjoy the day, and find your life on the water. It just feels like I'm normal.
That's what I like.
I can get something done.
I'm safe now. They can hear my stick.
Let's say you could only fire off one.
I like getting it right tight.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
You can do it.
Sure.